They say absence makes the heart grow fonder. And sometimes that is true. But sometimes it means you've waited 20 years for a wet fart of a movie. This week on 3 Pics, long-ass gaps between sequels.
You can't just pick one, you can't just pick two. Oh no, you gotta pick three, or we ain't picking you. 3 Pics, the podcast.
All right, welcome everybody to the 3 Pics podcast. This is the podcast where we pick three movies in a given three movies in a given category. I am joined right now by my confidant, my partner, my movie husband. This is Clint Tomerlin.
What up, Chris? How you doing?
Hey. I am doing fantastically well. I got to tell you, this was a bit of a hard week to get through. We have chosen this week to pick movies that took more than 10 years to get their next installment or their next sequel, whether that's a legacy sequel, something related to the IP, but it had to have been at least 10 years in between movies. Why? Because this week we're, I don't know if we're celebrating it, but The Devil Wears Prada Part 2 has come out, and there was a 20-year gap.
Yeah.
I wasn't exactly asking for a sequel to this movie. I was a little disappointed by the lack of satanic rituals in the first movie. Yeah. I'm going to actually go see it after this one. After we do this recording, I'm going to go see Devil Wears Prada Part 2. And I'm like, okay about it.
Yeah.
As I am with most sequels of this nature.
Yeah, it's interesting when it happens in real time. We were there when The Devil Wears Prada came out. We're here for this long sequel. It's an interesting, apprehensive way to go into a movie for me because, there's nothing like an original, but sometimes they capture magic again. Sometimes sequels improve on the original. It's very rare. That could be a future episode.
What were some examples of that?
Sequels improving?
Yeah, when we've had like more than 10 years between sweet sequels, what are some ones that stand out to you as like, that was worth the wait?
Exorcist III versus Exorcist II.
Shut the fuck up.
Have you ever seen Exorcist II?
No. I didn't get a chance to.
It's dog shit.
So you think everybody that went to see Exorcist II was like, God damn it, give me a better Exorcist Part 3?
I really think they were just like, never do this again.
Please.
Probably. Jurassic Park, like Jurassic World was a success in most people's eyes after waiting, what? Jurassic Park 3 was
2001 or 2002. I was still in high school when Jurassic Park 3 came out.
So sometimes they do it without, I would say Jurassic World I don't really like that movie. I think it's better than Jurassic Park 3.
I have liked that movie less and less and less and less the more that I've seen it. I should have just left it the one time.
Don't rewatch it for sure. Godfather Part 2.
Godfather Part 2. There you go.
That's it.
But not Godfather Part 3.
Yeah, and it didn't wait a long time. That was a couple of years away from. But the Godfather Part 3.
What about
a long gap?
Top Gun Maverick? I think is a solid example.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I don't know if this is a hot take or not. Top Gun Maverick better than the first one.
I think as a movie, it's better. I think Top Gun is more fun as a cultural relic. Like Top Gun Maverick, to me, it's just a really good movie that came out at the perfect time, navigating us out of that
saved movies.
Yeah, saved movies.
Isn't that what we like to say? We're back. How
Cruise.
many times are we going to be back? Because I keep on hearing that fucking phrase over and over and over. We're back.
We're back.
Mortal Kombat 2 came out. We're back. No. God, if Mortal Kombat 2 is a sign of us being back, I don't want to be back.
Yeah. Devil Wears Prada 2, though, I'm happy to report is good. It's not, I didn't love it, but it was good. The theater I saw it in, everyone was laughing, having a good time. I think that's, if you don't make a bad sequel after waiting so long to make one, then you've at least done something impressive. It's like, okay, you didn't, Beetlejuice 2 being a huge example of this, 2 years ago, year and a half, whenever that was?
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
Yeah, and that was another one. The best thing I can say about it is it wasn't bad. I haven't really wanted to revisit it, but it wasn't bad.
It was better the second time. I watched it last Halloween, I think, and it was slightly better in my mind the second time I watched it, but that was also without any kind of expectations whatsoever for it at all. Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
That's maybe the best, most impressive, because Beyond Thunderdome is as fun as some of that is. Oof, like the
The
last
first 30 minutes of that movie are fucking awesome.
yeah, and then it
the
turns
kids come.
into oof.
One of my honorable mentions this week that I will go hard for is Tron Legacy. I think Tron Legacy is superior to the original in every way, shape, or form. You got the
Wow.
Daft Punk score. Digital jazz, man. Which you haven't even seen it.
I haven't seen it. That's a blind spot.
Man.
I haven't seen it. I will though. I will.
But then you got a lot of wet farts that, as I mentioned,
The Dumb and Dumber 2
that come out. Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah, that
Which I never saw that.
It's not memorable. It was inoffensive.
Inoffensive.
And not memorable.
Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Not great.
Man,
Not
yeah.
Great. Coming to America, not great.
Oh, that was bad. A lot of the comedy sequels don't work.
This is kind of a weird one, but I guess there was 19 years between Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Last Crusade. And that was such a huge letdown.
Yeah.
But then there was there was 15 years. There was almost as much time between Last Crusade and Crystal Skull as there was between Dial of Destiny and Crystal Skull. That'll make you feel old.
Wow.
Which I will also defend Dial of Destiny to my dying day.
Really?
I think that's a good Indiana Jones movie.
I think it's the most okay Indiana Jones movie.
Above or below Crystal Skull?
Above Crystal Skull, but only because there's no Shia or CGI monkeys or anything like that. Blade Runner 2049. I wouldn't say it's better than Blade Runner. Because
I'm surprised to hear you say that, as big of a Jared Leto fan as you are.
My mortal enemy, Jared Leto, ruins that movie. It would, and then Doctor Sleep, which I can't start talking about that movie, or it'll be 2 hours of a podcasting. Doctor Sleep is an incredible long.
Especially the director's cut is amazing.
Oh, so good. Yeah, the comedies though, they have issues for sure. Finding Dory. Did you know that was a 13-year gap between Finding Nemo and Finding Dory? And did you know that most people don't remember Finding Dory?
I forgot that would even happen.
There you go.
You did just kind of unlock something in my brain. Because again, here's my controversial take of this podcast, and I'll try to keep the hot takes to a minimum.
It's fine.
Finding Nemo. It's okay. It's fine. It's totally okay.
Who hurt you?
It's fine. It's fine.
Wow.
So when Finding Dory came out, I was like, I barely cared enough about the first one. But there was a weird string. They were not theatrically released. Wow. You may have been more of the target age for this, but there was a weird period of time where direct-to-video Disney cartoons had really strange sequels coming out.
Lion King 1.5 was that one?
Yeah, right? Simba's Pride, I think it was called. Bambi 2.
That actually has the distinction of being the longest gap of any sequel. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. It was
64 years.
Yeah, 64 years between.
Oh, wow.
Between them. Yeah, one of my picks actually was the first Guinness Book holder, a record holder for that.
I was looking up the years in between our movies, and you're gonna win the
longest gap. There's a lot.
Recently, Twisters was great.
Yeah,
and again, I think Twisters, as much as I love the original, I think Twisters is a better movie.
Yeah, that is some of the most dumb fun I've ever had in a summer blockbuster in a long time.
Yeah. And then on the opposite end of that spectrum, you get some shit like Happy Gilmore 2, which I do not recommend. Don't watch Happy Gilmore 2.
Just go on YouTube and search Happy Gilmore 2 Bad Bunny scenes. Just watch.
And that's the only thing that's worth it.
He's hilarious.
In that.
But yeah, that was rough. It's good to see Gen X get there. Like, see the stuff that you loved is also being sacrificed on the altar of capitalism. It's not just us.
Well, why don't we get into our picks for sequels or IP installments with long ass gaps in between entries?
Tell me when's the gap? What?
I've got a long. You need a wide lens.
All right, what's your first pick, Chris?
All right, my first pick makes the original of my first pick is the absolute best use of Ric Flair's entrance song ever used in a movie ever. My first pick is 2010, The Year We Make Contact, the sequel to 2001, A Space Odyssey. This sequel took 16 years to come out for various reasons, directed by Peter Hyams. This is the story that, yes, it's like 2 years set, 2 to 9 years.
There's an
somewhere
easy
there.
way to figure it out. Is the first one's called 2001, A Space Odyssey.
And then I was trying to figure this out. I was like, I guess it took 9 years in between its setting.
You'd be really confused during The Devil Wears Prada 2. They didn't even put the year in the title. I don't know.
The Devil Wears Prada 2000. You got to put the year in there, else I'm not going to know what the length is between the actual setting of the movie. Which I was getting a little confused as we were going through some of these movies. I was like, there's the length in between the release and there's the length in between the story in the original movie.
Because it's not always the same.
So in this one, we actually start this movie off with, I think, one of the best things ever. It's like a recap of the original movie.
Yeah.
And for those of you that may have not made it through 2001 A Space Odyssey, which I'll tell you this, I have a lot of respect for 2001 A Space Odyssey, and it's just not the most exciting movie in the world. You got to really lock in for 2001. I can't say it's my absolute favorite, but I respect it. I understand its place in cinema history. However, I usually need a little bit more entertainment in my movie. But we do start out 2010 because I was like, shit, am I going to have to watch 2001 A Space Odyssey all over again? Which I'm never really clamoring for. God, all the cinema bros out there like, what is this motherfucker?
I mean, it's a great movie, but I understand the pacing it's hard. Like a lot of sci-fi movie. This movie is a lot of sci-fi movie. Interstellar for me feels that way.
But this movie starts out with a montage, a complete recollection of what happened in 2001, and they do it in like 2 minutes. It's fucking fantastic.
And they add the really cool Dave Bowman line at the end. That's not in the original. He says, "My God, it's full of stars," which is really cool.
God, it's full of stars. That's right, and it almost has this like Dune-like.
It's early Hans Zimmer maybe.
And so we pick up 9 years after the events of 2001. We got some Roy Scheider action
I love Roy
here,
Scheider.
and we immediately start out. And this is, as I was going through this movie has a lot of my favorite kind of like sci-fi tropes / settings, things that are going on. And the first thing is a big row of fucking satellites.
Yeah.
Give me a sci-fi movie with a big row of satellites.
So
Contact,
that's a real
all
place.
that good stuff.
That's the same place as Contact that they filmed.
Oh, is it really?
Satellite array. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good for them. Congratulations.
Good, big moment for satellites.
And so
they really went downhill after Elon Musk got involved with them. This is a real high point for satellites. So the spaceship, the Discovery from 2001 Space Odyssey, that spaceship is still out there orbiting. So the only survivor that they know of on the ship is the computer, the supercomputer HAL. So that's kind of like where it starts off is this mystery. And there's a Russian scientist who meets Roy Scheider's character, Dr. something. I can't remember his name. Dr. Floyd, maybe? I actually think that's right. I think it's like Dr. Floyd. And that starts the kind of like they know something about the Discovery, but the issue is that Russia and America there's a lot of tension geopolitically speaking, and so he's trying to make a deal with the Americans. So he's like, you can come on our spaceship. We're launching.
Yeah, we're going. Y'all want to be a part of this or not?
We need you.
Yeah.
So for as boring as sci-fi movies can be, this one is not in the beginning.
They set you up like right off and I love it when movies do this.
Yeah.
Give me everything I need to know within the first 15 minutes, and then let's get
Yeah.
going.
Here,
That's
here's
what
what
I
you
like.
missed. Here's what you missed in the last movie. Here's where we are. Come on.
And I should say this is a first time watch for both you and me. In fact, for this week, 4 out of the 6 movies that we'll be talking about were first time watches for me, and I think it was even more for you.
Yes, 5 out of the 6.
Damn. So we also get some Bob Balaban action in this movie, and I tell you what, man, this movie. If I took anything away from this movie, it is a cautionary tale about falling in love with AI.
Yeah.
Because Bob Balaban has the fucking hots for these fucking computers.
Yeah.
And we come to find out that Hal was it Hal 3000, 9000, and Andre
Hal
3000, Hal 9000.
Yeah.
That, this is the evil computer in the first one. He actually wasn't evil. He was just getting conflicting orders from the White House.
Yeah, of course. Should have known.
We come to find out that Bob is actually working on Sal, voiced by, do you know who voiced this?
I do. I looked it up because it was driving me crazy. I was like,
Candice
I know.
Bergen.
Yeah, I was like, I know that voice.
Yeah. Bob Balaban is responsible for HAL 9000. He's creating Sal 9000. He talks to these fucking computers like I talk to my dog.
Yeah.
Does this disturb you, Sal? Is everything going to be okay? Like, he has such a boner for these computers and is really the crux of the entire issues that we are having. Roy Schreider. We get, before we go up into space, we get a glimpse of Roy Scheider's house.
Yeah. It's fallen.
I don't wish that we were here at this point in time, because in Roy Scheider's living room / kitchen, there's a kitchen off to the side. They're sitting at a table. There's then in the living room a pool that has a fucking dolphin in it.
Yeah. And it just swims right up, plays with their son.
Some of the other sci-fi things that we get in this movie that I absolutely love about sci-fi movies is, I mentioned satellites, but we do get controversial things coming from the White House. In fact, in this movie, the president and the White House are involved in a blockade that is currently going on.
Interesting.
We get rescue missions. We get talking computers, consumer space travel. I love that. And always before we go up into space, there's always a good conversation on the beach. And in this movie, Roy Scheider is actually working on a computer, an old ass fucking computer on the beach in the middle of the daylight. That does not work.
It was like a real prototype of an Apple something that everyone thought was cutting edge. It's so funny.
And so you get the Russians, you get the Americans, and we're on. And Helen Mirren is a fox in this movie. She's fucking great.
Yeah, Helen Mirren with her Russian accent, very sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gorgeous and everything, but the Russian accent, surprisingly.
And so eventually we get to a point where tensions on Earth are so that they're like, okay, Americans, you're going to have to leave the Russian spaceship in the middle of all of this. One of my favorite quotes comes from this. It says, just because our governments are acting like assholes doesn't mean we have to.
Yeah.
Which everybody, let's take that attitude. Let's just take that attitude today. But yeah, in this movie, basically the monolith is a living being and they all live in Europa. Because by the end of this movie, we've got 100 monoliths coming out.
More than that.
Thousands, millions of.
Yeah, they're replicating. There's more. That's how you get mono.
All over the place. I think this is a good recommend. You see shades of Interstellar.
I would say more than shades, because Interstellar is the whole conceit. I'm just going to spoil Interstellar as well. The whole conceit of that, once you travel into the black hole, and Matthew McConaughey he meets these beings that live in other dimensions, and the whole library. I know a lot of people make fun of that scene, but probably because it does kind of look funny. But it's all this idea of quantum entanglement in physics of, if there are other dimensions, what are these beings like? And so this movie very much takes that, I don't know if it's the start of that concept, but in a movie, it's for sure the first time I'd ever seen that, because you see David Bauman from the first movie. You see that even though supposedly he's dead, what really happened is it looks like he went through one of these monoliths. That's why they give him that line of, "My God, it's full of stars," because inside these monoliths are black holes, and inside that is even more galaxies and more universes. However you would describe it. I'm not the most.
I didn't get that at all, but that's so fucking cool the way you're
Yeah.
describing it. This was a very vibe movie for me.
Yeah, he appears to his widow back on Earth through a television set at one point and is talking to her and saying that he has memories, but he doesn't quite really know what's happened to him. And so this idea that maybe Bauman's in this other dimension is explored, and that he's living through all of his ages, which is also interesting. He appears.
There's some freaky imagery.
It was nominated for makeup, I think specifically for the scene where you see David Bauman go from being a young guy to a very old man to a literal like fetus. It's super trippy. And so the monoliths that are on Europa, basically they don't want this other higher life form in this other dimension. They're trying to teach us like a way to advance our civilization without actually wanting us to be on Europa, which is really funny. Spoilers, more spoilers at the end. The monolith's message is like
get off my lawn.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, you have all of these worlds, like, you're welcome, be peaceful, never land on Europa, by the way.
Yeah, they're like, we're not having any of this.
But also you can't come here, which one of the astronauts loses his life because he does try that. But I think it's also important, sci-fi mumbo jumbo aside, this movie came out in 1984. This is in the thick of the Cold War, with a tension between Russia and America, and like politics are still, I mean, we've always been tense with Russia still. You watch this movie and you're like, yeah, this actually feels.
We weren't afraid to put out media that was about it.
Yeah,
back then.
And so they changed a little bit from the book because they really wanted it to be like, right now I think the world needs like a movie where humanity puts aside their differences, and Russia and America, even though they're fighting on Earth, these men and women who are on these different sides in the spaceship, they have a better understanding of what's at stake with the human race, and these monoliths of this other race, species, whatever, they're going to teach us the way. So I was surprised at how it really lands the plane or the spaceship at the end. I was like, man, this leaves you feeling a lot better than 2001: A Space Odyssey.
And if you're one of those that has just never even given this a shot, because I mean, nobody talks about it in the same way they talk about 2001. This is just like an amazingly solid follow-up. I think it is. Sometimes we honor movie sequels for being different from the original, and sometimes we fault them for it. And I don't know where that line is. So like with a movie like Aliens totally is not that quiet horror space thing. It's the action sci-fi thing. And so with 2010, it is definitely not the deep philosophical. I mean, there's some deep themes here, but not, 15 minutes of looking at stars and big black monoliths and apes at the beginning of civilization type of thing. But this is so it does change tone quite a bit. It definitely picks up the pace, and I was really pleasantly surprised by this movie.
Yeah.
And you've got some other, we didn't mention some, like John Lithgow. So John Lithgow was nominated in consecutive years for GARP and then Terms of Endearment. So 82, 83, and then he does this in 84.
And it's like a total character actor move. It's a very supporting role. Memorable, though. I mean, he's always memorable. Yeah, and Nolan uses him in Interstellar, so there's no way Nolan doesn't use...
What?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
So,
and then there's the really not famous, but one of that guys in this movie, Elia Baskin.
Is he the Russian? It's a good guess, right?
No, he's the one from Idaho.
Fuck.
No, he plays Maxim Brailovsky.
Yeah, he's the one who has the funny lines in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
and you've seen him in like Air Force One.
Easy as cake. piece of pie.
Transformers, the Spider-Man movies, Austin Powers. You know this guy whenever you see him. So
Yeah.
very, very.
Moscow on the Hudson, the Robin Williams movie.
Yeah.
There you go.
Raise
Sorry.
the Titanic. You ever seen that one?
No. Should I?
No.
Okay.
The only reason I've seen it is because I'm a Titanic head.
Okay.
But yeah,
okay.
that's 2010. The year we make contact, that was 16 years ago now.
I know.
And we
maybe
just released all the UFO stuff.
Yeah, so
it's
I
a
guess
time to watch it.
Yeah, I guess we did make contact. Yeah, and Russia
I
and
only
America
found this
hate each
on
other.
streaming. Is there? Did you know of a 4K or any physical media?
There's got to be, but I don't know of one off the top of my head. I'm sure
I
it's been released.
I rented on Apple.
I'm sure it's been released. I don't know where I watched it. I streamed it somewhere. I don't know if it was Tubi or something. Yeah, good movie. That's a good one. All right, my first pick. This is the longest of the Gap sequels. This is 1 year after they attempted to do the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey. The next year, Return to Oz, the pseudo sequel to The Wizard of Oz, something like a 46-year gap.
I have 46 years.
Yeah, 46-year gap between them. I did not know this movie existed. I was just trying to find movies that had long gaps between the sequels, and I saw Return to Oz listed somewhere online, and I thought to myself, why have I never heard of this? I've seen the reimaginings of like the Wiz productions of that. I've seen, I even saw that miniseries Wizard of Oz, which is actually pretty good. The one with Zoe Deschanel. That's actually pretty good. And this just completely was not a thing growing up. I guess it's technically a Disney movie now. I saw it on Disney Plus. I think Disney owns it. It's 1985, directed by Walter Murch. Walter Murch, a historic film editor who edited little known movies like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, and it is revered in that circle. But as far as director, this was one and done. He made Return to Oz, and he never made a movie in the director's chair after. So that says something about this movie, which is not a bad movie. It's just crazy.
This movie is fucking bonkers.
It's crazy.
I have always been aware of this movie. In fact, I don't know if this is a real memory or a false memory, but back in the day when Disney Channel was first starting, they would play almost everything. And there was some weird shit that would come on Disney Channel. And I have like a weird old memory of this coming. I remember I've seen bits and pieces of this somewhere, but by no means had I ever had a complete viewing as a cognizant, grown, mature person. And this, let me just say, most of the picks this week is for the sickos.
Yeah.
Because this movie is dark and twisted, which means that I liked it a whole hell of a lot more than I like this Wicked shit that's been coming out lately.
Yeah, as far as if you are a fan of Wizard of Oz and you're a fan of Wicked, either way, you're not ready for Return to Oz. It doesn't matter which version of Wizard of Oz you like. Even if you like The Wiz, it doesn't matter. This is a singular Oz experience that is dark. It has to be something. Well, I looked this up because I was like, surely Tim Burton fucks with this movie so hard. So it feels very Tim Burton-esque. So the story, which is really, there's not much to the story. It's literally Dorothy. She's back, home in Kansas. They cast a first time. This is her film debut, Fairuza Balk.
Yeah.
Although not super well known, I guess, anymore, but growing up, Fairuza Balk she was the dangerous girl from all sorts of movies. The Craft especially was, I feel like TNT always showed Craft,
Oh yeah,
October every year, and I would watch it. Any of the Charmed boys and girlies loved Craft, but Fairuza Balk, apparently they auditioned 10,000 girls for Dorothy. This is a big deal, I mean, it's Dorothy and Fairuza Balk, like, this is Judy Garland. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's Dorothy.
You know what? I need my gays in the comments to back me up on this. It's a big deal. Anyone who takes the mantle from Judy Garland, it's a big deal. And so Dorothy now is, it just shit ass poor because the twister that we saw, in the Wizard of Oz just destroyed everything. Like
Decimated Kansas.
yeah, like it destroyed their home, and so they're impoverished, living. Piper Laurie as Auntie M
Of Twin Peaks fame.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. But so Dorothy is talking about like she talks about Oz because she was there. And so they're like, this girl's crazy. And so
She's so fucking nuts.
it's so awful. In the first 10 minutes, not only is she impoverished and living in destitution, but then she's taken to have psychiatric experiments like on her. And it's so dark and twisted, this institution or whatever, where this doctor is going to give her electroshock therapy and is explaining to her, like, don't worry, Dorothy, like, after you go through this process, you won't remember your friends in Oz anymore. Like, he's like, don't worry, all that'll be in the past.
Which, I'm sorry, but if you had offspring that claimed the things that she was saying and doing and saying, you were there and you were there and you were there and da 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 da, would we not all do something similar?
No. This is why you don't have kids. You're watching it, you're like, yeah, no, she is pretty crazy. I would at least give her a couple zaps.
Which, yeah, the electric healing.
Yeah, it's gonna heal. And he describes the machine that the doctor rolls out. He's showing her how it's really kind of like a face and like a human, and he's pointing out the aspects of it, like this would be its nose and this would be its mouth. It's like, this is so fucked up. This little girl, and she's so much younger than Judy Garland was. I mean, at least in the sense of she's a few years younger, so it's noticeable.
How old is Dorothy supposed to be?
I actually don't know that. I mean, she's in this. They describe her as a 10-year-old girl or something like that.
Because Judy Garland
seemed like she was more like 14, 13, yeah,
16
somewhere around that. Yeah, more in the Epstein Trump age. I actually don't want to get into too many spoilers because this movie is best. I think it's funnier to just describe some of the shit that happens without context. But Dorothy finds her way back to Oz because reasons. And one of the very first thing is she comes back to Oz with a chicken, and the chicken can talk. And also this chicken is very important. In fact, if Dorothy had not shown up with this chicken, she would have died later in the movie. That's all I'm going to say. The chicken is the most important plot device.
I always like to point out the first note that I take in writing a movie. The first note that I took on this was chicken is talking.
Yeah, and it's a chicken voice. It's quite they're really going for it. Whatever, it's something with a B. I can't remember the chicken's name. But in Dorothy's new travels, which it's important to note that even though this is a sequel to The Wizard of Oz, it's also just the next adaptation of the next books. So Wizard of Oz, L. Frank Baum's books in 1907, there's 3 of them. And so this movie takes elements from the second book in the third book. And so I think that was also a bold decision, but a weird decision for people because books are crazy. And if you think about it, there's tons of shit in The Wizard of Oz that is absolutely weird and crazy if you think too hard about it. And so this movie just goes full tilt boogie crazy. She runs into a gang of elongated roller skating punks
called the Wheelers.
The Wheelers, and they literally are on all fours, like wheeling around. Really, really scary, insane. She meets a robot, like a mechanical man called TikTok. First use
Boy, that's foreshadowing, isn't it?
I know. I was like, look at this. Girl's getting addicted to TikTok. TikTok has wind up functions. You have to wind him up to get his mind going, his talking going, and his movement actions going.
It's just like me, man.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's hard to find the wind, but when you do on Chris, you just give it one good twist, and he'll do pretty much whatever you.
Which I'm looking at Letterboxd right now, and I guess there was 3 people that played. It took 3 people to play this thing.
So the reason that I think this movie works so well, and why I loved it partially is the practical effects. Everything, honestly, you could have told me this was filmed in the 90s. Everything looks good. There's not a lot of heavy CGI use in it. It all feels very tactile and real. And TikTok, this mechanical kind of chunky boy thing. It's like weird. He looks like a grand like the not a grandfather, the clock from Beauty and the Beast, and like a soldier had like a baby. It's weird. And inside this suit there was someone like the legs were like a gymnast who was doing like a handstand inside the suit, and that's how he moved the legs, was being on his hands, which is
That sounds awful.
just the worst working conditions in that sense. So yeah, TikTok, that's crazy. Because I was expecting, oh, she's returning to Oz. I'm waiting for, Tin Man. And they mentioned that the Scarecrow is, the king of Oz and all these. I'm like, okay, we're getting the band back together. But
Which I guess at this point in time, because we take it for granted, MGM and Disney were not always one and the same.
no,
This was before they were together. So MGM did the original, right?
yes, and they actually had to work with MGM to get the rights to use the red slippers, the ruby red slippers in this one, because that is something that they added in Wizard of Oz that was not in the book, and MGM
Gotcha. Because
owned.
Disney only
Yeah.
had rights to the book.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Yeah, because the book was, yeah, I know it's crazy. This is the weird IP, the way it bounces around between studios and artists. It's really weird. So the Tin Man it kind of implies that the Tin Man was,
This is the most bizarre fucking part of this movie to me, is
Yeah.
the Tin Man origin story.
tell him, Chris.
Which I guess basically he became a Tin Man because I don't know why he was doing this, but he kept chopping off parts of his own body. Is that right?
That was the implication that I got from it.
Yeah,
but
it just for some reason he was chopping off parts of his own body, and then he made himself tin. And
Yeah.
I had a couple of beers before watching this, so I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's kind of that's a good way to watch the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so if you're expecting a greatest hits of Wizard of Oz in this, like, no, they eschew a lot of that. And I guess that's what the books are like that as well. I've never read them, but ironically I read Wicked in those books, The Son of a Witch and all those, but I did not read this movie makes me want to read the original books.
Yeah, this makes
okay, I didn't
me-
know they were that crazy.
This movie makes me so much more interested in the Wizard of Oz than
Like,
any
the
of the
lore,
shit
yeah.
that's happened in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
I saw Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, which
Oh, yeah.
overall it was a cool sensory experience. However, I enjoyed watching Return to Oz more than I did watching the fucking AI shit fest that they inserted into the Wizard of. By the way, Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, very condensed version of the movie
Yeah.
with a shit ton of AI in it
Yeah.
that is incredibly obvious.
Well, they have
It's-
to fill the frame.
Yeah, and it's like
So
it's
to
a
speak.
cool, like I said, it's a cool sensory experience as a cinematic experience. However, I don't know that I'm looking forward to more movies being done in that format.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. To me, it's like like a theme park attraction. I'm like, it's not.
Mhm. Yeah,
Just don't call it like a movie theater experience because it's not. But it's just a ride like at a theme park. Whatever.
but this I like better than Wicked. I didn't see Wicked 2, and I've seen the stage musical like freaking 6 times. I was a theater teacher for the longest
Man.
time, and that's the only that's a show that would always come through town.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think not that you asked, but I'm just gonna rank the Oz movies as Wizard of Oz, Return to Oz, The Wiz, Wicked, and then Wicked for Good is dead last.
Yeah. Well,
Man.
what about Oz the Great and Powerful?
The Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi.
That would be above Wicked for Good, but I don't even think I'd put that above Wicked. That's got some. It's not that fun to
I
watch.
tried to rewatch it about 2 years ago. I guess whenever the original
Yeah,
Wicked was coming out,
What were we
it
thinking?
was hard to get through.
It's fucking James Franco. Like, what were we thinking
Yeah,
those few years where we were like, let's make James Franco the guy?
No.
And that has
No.
shown to be a poor judgment in lots of ways. But, hey, good for his brother. Now he's really come out on top. He'd love to see it. We also have, so instead of seeing like the lion and all that, because they're there, but they've been turned to statues. So you do see them a little bit, but you don't actually get, like there's a little at the end, you get to see them interact, but not really much. Scarecrow probably gets the most screen time from the old characters. The lion's an actual fucking lion, which, good for them. But this, Dorothy legitimately gets kidnapped by a lady who wears different heads. Like
and
she
has a hallway of heads.
has a hall of heads, and that's how she chooses her heads, and then she locks Dorothy away. Dorothy. She locks Dorothy away. Just can't. I used to say Dorothy like a Texan, and then as soon as I saw Wizard of Oz as an adult, I was like,
Dude, when we saw
Dorothy.
John Mulaney's take on,
No, that's
do you
so
remember
good.
that? We went to go
Yes.
see John Mulaney together a
got a
couple months
great-
ago. It was a great fucking joke on
Yeah,
this.
I hope he has. I hope that comes out in a like a special soon, because that was a really funny Wizard of Oz bit. I digress. So this witch, crazy lady, headless, who she puts Dorothy, she locks her away in the top of this tower, and as if this movie couldn't get any creepier, there is a pumpkin head that starts talking to her and wants to be put back on his body. And so Dorothy helps this pumpkin, and he calls himself Jack. He's Jack Pumpkinhead in the credits, is what he's listed as,
Of course.
which I looked it up. And that this is directly why Tim Burton wanted Jack Skellington to be named Jack, was because he said in an interview that it was because of the Return to Oz.
I don't
So-
doubt it.
There you go. It's super creepy. Voiced by Brian Henson, who's Jim Henson's son. He has a very kind of like sweet young man voice that is so creepy, because he's talking to a little girl and he asks Dorothy if he can call her mom. Genuinely, one of the most scary things I've seen in a family children's movie is this talking pumpkin head creature asking a little girl, a little girl, if he can call her mom. And let's see, then they also bring like this weird moose thing to life, and it talks. Really scary. I mean, it feels like a nightmare.
If there's a movie that was the definition of the phrase nightmare fuel, it is
Yeah.
most definitely this.
Yeah, it really is. There's tons of scenes. The main villain is a weird rock creature guy that they animate his face on like a rock wall, and then it gets weirder and weirder.
It is an unironic recommend. This
Yeah.
is
It's a good movie.
I think it's genuinely a good movie. It's a
movie.
good watch. But you gotta imagine, if you had waited, what do you think you would have felt like if you had waited 46 years and this is what you got?
Yeah, I mean, it was a failure at the box office, and I could see why. Like I could, word of mouth was critical back then, and so you go to the theater and you watch this, and you come home and you try to explain it to people that are Wizard of Oz fans. They'd be like, "I'm not watching that shit." Doesn't
And at a
sound like
time,
Wizard of
Disney
Oz.
was not doing too well in
No.
1980s. There was a time where Disney almost didn't make it, which actually that kind of ties into something we'll talk about a
Sliding
little bit later.
doors. Yeah, it would have been disappointing. And I think that's what's fun about revisiting these movies away from the gigantic expectations. And I mean, it sounds like it was a nightmare to make. Within a week, I think of the first 2 weeks, Walter Murch was fired from the movie. And now this is the guy who edited like some of the greatest movies ever made. So his boys, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and Francis Ford Coppola, they told the studio, you have to hire Walter back. George Lucas even went so far to say that, like, if he fucks it up after you hire him back, I will come in and finish directing the movie. Give him another chance. And again, this was the only movie he ever directed, because it sounds like it was terrible for Usabalk, because it was practical. There was just some stuff that for a little girl was very, very harsh shooting conditions to get through. But as a movie, super weird, super interesting, and super worth checking out. Return to Oz.
Return to Oz. Do you think we'll ever return to Oz again after Wicked for Good?
No, I don't.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it might be another 50 years.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. They've had so much success at the Sphere. I think they're just taking a
they're
victory
riding
lap.
that, from my understanding, that thing has and continues to make a ton of money.
Oh yeah, it has. So there you go. All right, let's do. This will be the fastest pick we've ever had in 3 Picks history.
So this movie, again, this was a first time watch.
First and last.
It
maybe?
is most definitely. This is again, one of the purposes I think of this podcast is to watch more movies, to experience more movies, and never want to necessarily just recommend bad movies or, just make fun of movies necessarily. However, this was a blind watch for me, and it's probably going to be the only instance where I text Clint and say, don't bother watching this movie. This took 14 years to come out before the original. It's Basic Instinct 2.
The unrated extended.
The unrated extended cut. Let me tell you, this movie has a lot of in it. I'm not embellishing or exaggerating that someone is talking about, and I should say, as we talk about Basic Instinct 2 for the next 3 minutes, which is usually how long it takes me, we're going to be talking about a lot of and sucking going into this section. So if you've got kitties in the car and you actually listen to this podcast, it's too fucking late.
It's too late. Don't listen to this podcast with kids around. That's wild.
After the success of Basic Instinct, which I've actually gone down a rabbit hole on the original Basic Instinct recently, of course, they wanted a sequel right away. And it was just something. Paul Verhoeven didn't want to come back. It was one of these developmental hell type of things up until a point where they decided to just totally cancel the Basic Instinct sequel. However, Sharon Stone was like, hold on, I've got a pay-or-play contract. And sued them basically because it's like, I still get paid whether you make this movie or not. So they're like, we might as well make this fucking movie. And it is such a classic example of why you should not do this. It came out at a time where we weren't really doing erotic thriller. This was 2006. So this is the same gap.
Yeah.
This came out the same year as the first Devil Wears Prada. So about 20 years ago.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it was the same year. So in this, the erotic thriller was essentially dead by this point in time. We really weren't making these types of movies.
Glory days in the 90s.
I tell you what, this movie oozes early 2000s.
Ew. It secretes early 2000s.
Early 2000s filmmaking. Immediately, right off the bat, you get these the color, it's like a very light blue color filter. You've got some really like weird out of place music. And we are immediately put into the action with our friend and psychopath, Catherine Trammell. She's in a sports car driving at like 120 miles per hour. She's got a soccer player, like a famous soccer player in the passenger seat next to her, who is just completely stoned out. He's on drugs in some way, shape, or form. This will give you an idea of the level of writing that went into this movie. This is the opening line. The soccer player says, "Guess what? I can't move." And then Catherine Trammell looks over at him and says, "You don't have to. You're in a car." And so,
oh no,
the whole setup to this movie is that she actually crashes this car into a river. And the dude dies.
I mean,
she just lets him die. And so there's this whole inquest thing, and this is set in London. She is questioned. Here's another great example of dialogue from this movie. And just like literally in every single scene, we're talking about or sucking. The detective asks, "What were you doing at 100 miles per hour?" Catherine says, "He was making me come." "It was 110. We must have hit a pothole." The detective says, "Well, Kevin Franks died. You don't seem very worried." And then Catherine Trammell says, "I'm devastated. I may never come again."
Oh my God. What?
So she's, of course, needs to be psychologically investigated. And then here comes in David Morrissey of Walking, I guess most notably Walking Dead.
I would say so.
What was it? He was the general, the governor. What was his title?
Is it governor?
Governor. I think it was governor. Governor in Walking Dead. Which thank God that came along because holy shit, this would have totally killed him. And Morrissey in this, he's terrible, but it's hard to say, that he was miscast just because this is a fucking terribly written movie. It's a terribly written character. So Catherine Trammell gets up to her old hijinks and starts fucking with this psychologist. And of course, she's writing a book
course.
About a psychologist. You know, we get a couple of references to the original Basic Instinct. The shooter book is prominently featured at like a Barnes and Noble, which I question, would it have been featured like 14 years on like Rome? I mean, because these are like, she writes the equivalent of like airport novels, right? Yeah. Just prominently, very prominently featured at like a Barnes and Noble in this movie. Now, there is an insane amount of sex in this movie, and it's, you know, normally I'm like, yes, give me all the sex. I love the sex in the movies. I love that we're finally getting back to a little bit of that. And in Basic Instinct, you had like the really, great Verhoeven type sex where the back is arched like in an insane angle, and just like midnight walks, just naked to the kitchen,
Vagina
that kind of shit. And so we don't get any of that. This is just very cringy, very rough sex. Just like, I gritted my teeth multiple times. At one point in time, she has an orgy. A lot of unsafe practices in this. Yeah, Catherine Tramell goes to like her drug dealer and has an orgy in the middle.
Okay.
There's just, I just wrote, whoa, that's unnecessarily rough sex. So eventually her and David Morrissey, and it's just so fucking weird because we get the tease of her like reaching underneath the bed
like
for
she's gonna...
the ice pick. Like we're like, oh shit,
the
no,
ice
here
pick?
comes the ice. No. That's what we would all have wanted. She grabs, I guess, like a belt, and she just ropes David Morrissey like around the neck and like straps him real hard, just ropes him like a cattle, and it's awkward as fuck.
Whoa.
It is nuts.
I heard this movie is actually nuts.
It is actually nuts. Okay, my absolute favorite line from this movie,
Can't
which we
handle
get
any more lines from this movie,
is, I can't remember what somebody says to her, but she says, even Oedipus didn't see his mother coming.
What?
And if you don't understand that line, go read Oedipus.
What the?
Even Oedipus didn't see his mother coming.
Oh my God.
So yeah, there's not a whole hell of a lot to say. I'll say this. Sharon Stone is hot.
Sure.
Ebert had a really interesting quote about this that I'd read, that, it's not a good movie at all, but everyone's still trying, or something like that. It was never bored. I was never bored in this movie because I was just constantly had my jaw on the floor.
Yeah.
This is not one that I can recommend just like, hey, you really should watch this. I actually don't think this movie should have ever been made.
Well, I'm glad I didn't watch it. It's surprising because the director, Michael Caton Jones, did some movies that I don't love, but I like. Doc Hollywood, Michael J. Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Rob Roy, This Boy's Life, the DiCaprio, De Niro movie, and then he also did Basic Instinct too. Okay.
Yeah, and the original Basic Instinct I love, but there's also a certain...
I don't love Basic Instinct, but I appreciate it for what it is. Luckily, my next pick does not have any graphic sex in it. It's
holy fuck if there was.
It's all just graphic violence. I bought this movie last year, I think, and was just sitting on my shelf, just waiting for the right time to watch it. This is 1990s The Exorcist III, starring George C. Scott. Yes, that is exactly. I have that same copy. I had never seen this. I rewatched The Exorcist last year during my October. I always watch horror movies, and so I rewatched The Exorcist. I've only seen that movie like 2 or 3 times in my life because it's scary as fuck. Someone showed it to me. I mean, I say someone. My parents let me watch that. Legitimately let me watch it. There was tons of things they didn't let me do, but I think because it was like a rite of initiation as a Catholic. It's like, you have to, this is real and you have to watch this so you don't fuck with the devil.
I think my mom would probably prevent me from watching that movie now, even to this day.
It's scary. I watched it by myself.
I watched it last week.
Yeah, it's scary.
I'm like
this, for being so old, you can see why it's a kind of to me, that is like a 5-star gold standard of horror. So the idea of doing a follow-up, I mean, they did a follow-up, I want to say maybe 8 or 9 years after the first maybe 10 years after the first Exorcist, was Exorcist II, which was abysmal. And they thought it killed the series, but the dude who wrote the book, William Peter Blatty, who also has directed some really weird movies, not many, but he gets back in the director's chair for The Exorcist III. I believe I'll check my notes. I believe he wrote this one as well. Yeah,
Well, yeah, because this is based on Legion. It was
it's
based on a book called Legion,
Legion.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because in fact, I watched the director's cut of this, which is actually it's not even titled Exorcist 3. It's
Yeah.
literally just called Legion.
Yeah, he calls it Legion. And so, because William Peter Blatty wrote the first, he wrote the books. And so this one is actually, even though they filmed it in 1990, it is set sometime in the 80s, I want to say. It's like 15 years after the events of the first Exorcist. And I'd heard this movie was crazy. But I was still, I think especially because I saw The Exorcist not too long ago, I was in that mindset. And this movie doesn't have much in common stylistically with The Exorcist. It reminded me more of Michael Mann's Manhunter. Like it reminded me of
Sure.
that kind of like 1980s detective serial killer. It really feels more in the mold of those, which made it compelling. Other than like the middle, we talked about this Sober Texas. Like there is a section in the middle that you kind of tune out a little bit. You're just like, okay, it's a little long.
Because it is incredibly dialogue driven. It's practically a stage play.
It's all monologues.
And almost everything happens off screen.
Yeah, it's all monologues about murder victims because it's about this police lieutenant that George C. Scott plays, Lieutenant Bill Kinderman. He describes, it's so crazy. Most of the scenes are just him like having PTSD describing the crime scenes. We don't even see a lot of lingering shots on crime scenes. It's more of George C. Scott describing, and maybe the most memorable one, which is the first time he's describing this. They think that this serial killer, there's a copycat killer, except he's doing things that a copycat wouldn't have known because they didn't release details of the case. And so he's describing to these other detectives this horrible, this kid is brutally murdered, is decapitated, is crucified, and the kid is black, and it's even there's a hate crime element to it that not only is this kid crucified, but George C. Scott describes the kid having the old blackface minstrel art makeup style like put on the kid's body, and then having, what is it? It's like ingots, like iron ingots, like driven into the kid's eyes. One of the most horrible descriptions of a serial killer like murder in a movie I've ever heard. And George C. Scott, I don't know if they were just like, just make every scene just the most like Oscar real moment you can.
He goes for it
in
every scene.
He is 10 out of 10, or maybe 11 out of 10 on every scene. It's fun to watch him like put so much into it, but it's also like, God damn, like this guy's going through it. He is having a horrible time dealing with this. He thought that he put the serial killer away. Not only that, his home life's not going so great. So he was friends with the priest that died in The Exorcist, Damien Karras. And so he is friends with this other priest, and they have long conversations about religion and God. And, you know,
They go to see It's a Wonderful Life 37 times.
They go to see It's a Wonderful Life all the time. And he's just like, why does God let this happen? And he's just like, has these and the priest has some good lines too. I love my favorite line from, I can't remember the priest's character's name, but he's talking about this other person, and he goes, you know, Jesus loves you, but everyone else thinks you're an asshole.
I literally have that quote written down.
That's so good. I'm never forgetting that. That's so good. Jesus loves you, but everyone else thinks you're an asshole.
Which I feel like a lot of people have said that to me as well.
Yeah, I know for sure. That was me. I apologized. Okay, I thought we were past this. But it's really just old white guys talking about how awful the world is, and then a priest friend being like, well, trying to show the faith in God through it. But by the last 30 minutes, you're like, oh, William Peter Blatty is like, no, the world is awful, and even if God is real, you know, kind of like fuck that nonsense, because it is so cynical.
Oh, this is a mean movie.
It's
This is a mean movie.
Yeah, not for the faint of heart. Like genuinely, it is an upsetting movie, and yet it is also, if you can tap into a dark gallows sense of humor, there's some humorous like moments that even in the midst of some of the worst serial killer type talk, I was like laughing at just these like little touches of humor. My favorite, we talked about this off the pod, but he talks about having a fish that is living in his bathroom in the bathtub, a carp. And he goes on this weird rant about how
It's-
he's not even excited to go home because this fucking carp.
I can't take a bath, but it's a tasty fish. I've got nothing against carp.
It's so weird. You're like, what is this old guy talking about? And it's a weird the
You know what Macbeth is about?
Yeah. It's interesting. The movie mostly takes place kind of like 30, 40 minutes into the movie. It switches to this hospital psychiatric ward, like for the criminally insane, I guess, or it has a ward for the criminally insane and then just for other mental health patients. And most of the movie like takes place there from the middle to the end. And it's doesn't hold your hand with anything. I would need to see this movie probably 3 times to adequately describe what is happening.
This is a you cannot be distracted by anything
No.
type. I mean, this is a put the cell phone in the other room type of movie.
Yeah, because there's some interesting things with the possession aspect, and so to get into some spoiler territory, the lieutenant George C. Scott's friend, this priest that he has these intense discussions with and goes to see movies with, he ends up in the hospital and then he ends up also being one of like the victims. And it turns out that there is a patient who is played by Brad Dourif in a really fantastic performance. I was genuinely, I mean, how many effectively disturbing performances does this guy have in him? Because
Yeah, no, he's doing
already
Brad Dourif things.
Yeah, like
Again, 10 out of 10, man.
yeah, he's so good in this, but it's edited to where you have to really focus because Brad Dourif has been possessed by the same demon that was possessing the serial killer, and that is why these new killings have some of the details of the last killings that only the serial killer would have known, even though that man was sent to the electric chair. So there's these crazy scenes that are edited to where the actor who plays the original serial killer that was killed or sentenced to death in the electric chair, he is having conversations with like a priest and then eventually the lieutenant in this movie, but then it will switch to Brad Dourif talking as the possessed man, and then it will switch back to him. It's really trippy. I think it's one of those things that I imagine rewatching this movie I'll enjoy even more. It's really is off-putting at first. You're trying to wrap your head around like, wait, why did we just change actors? And you have to really pay attention to what they're talking about to go, okay, this is the demon, and the demon is presenting himself in different ways, and then it's implied that there's more than just a demon, that this is the demon that is described in the Bible as Legion, the many demons. It's again, super dark, super gnarly.
It's dense. I mean, it's very dense.
Yeah.
And next time you watch it, I highly recommend doing the director's, because you did the theatrical.
I did the
right?
theatrical cut. I debated, and I was like, you know what? It's my first watch. I know it's gonna be one. I own it. I'm gonna watch it again. I'll start with theatrical cut and then go to the director's cut from there.
I think the theatrical cut is because I've only seen this twice. I saw the theatrical version a couple years ago, and then I watched the Legion version, which the director's cut is what I think a lot of directors' cuts should do, and it's actually shorter.
Yeah, they actually cut.
It's actually a cut.
Yeah.
But it also inserts a lot of, like a little tiny shots here and there that kind of help you with some of the conversation, some of the dialogue, some of the setting a little bit. And it's like literally, it's almost, if anyone has ever seen the Alien 3 assembly cut, where there are certain shots that are not finished at all. The audio is kind of weird.
Yeah.
That's what this was. You could definitely see where things were cut in and cut out. But I do think the Legion version of the movie is far superior.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited to check it out. And for horror heads, check this out. For people that, if you like serial killer movies, this has just as much in common with that as any possession horror movie. If you're a fan of long legs, for to kind of pull modern
Yeah,
comp,
yeah, yeah.
like then definitely check out The Exorcist 3.
Or if you just like really weird fucking dream sequences,
But it
this
has one of the weirdest.
one
Has one
takes
of the
the
weirdest.
fucking cake.
Yeah. Yep. With an
Where
angel band.
he goes in there and you get a random Samuel L. Jackson cameo
Yeah.
who plays the blind guy, and he's actually dubbed over.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
hear
I
Samuel L.
know.
Jackson's voice.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
It's weird.
And then like the New York, like Patrick Ewing is like there's
Well, yeah,
major
yeah.
NBA basketball players that are in this dream sequence. And then I guess his character was friends with the little boy that got murdered, because he also encounters this boy in the dream with my absolute favorite line that he says in this entire movie, where he's just like, "I'm sorry you were murdered."
Yeah. Sorry you were murdered.
Some of my other favorite Scott quotes in this are, and then there's also, he's just got amazing gutturals in this movie.
I love George C. Scott. He has another very Catholic, not Catholic, but very religious movie undertones with hardcore in the late 70s. Which you guys could check that one out too. But yeah, The Exorcist 3, William Peter Blatty. They went back. They did a crazy movie. It works, or at least it worked for me. So that's my second pick.
All right, moving into round 3. And this one holds a very special place in my heart. I was the ripe age of 12 or 13 whenever this movie came out. I saw it 4 times in the movie theater.
My God.
Yeah, 4 times.
Wow.
This is Escape from L.A., directed by John Carpenter. This took place, or it released 15 years after the original Escape from New York, which Escape from New York, on my Mount Rushmore of action movies of all time. I just watched it. I got a really beautiful Shout Factory Steelbook of Escape from New York. I watched this last night. Fucking spectacular. I heard that we're gonna remake Escape from New York. That news came out recently.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can we not do that? Like there's so much story and things that are going on in this world that have never been told, and I really wish they would. I mean, we're talking about Cleveland, we're talking about Kansas City. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. Like this is IP that is rich.
I would love his son Wyatt Russell being Snake Plissken and just doing like a super cheese ball throwback escape movie, just like Escape from Toronto.
I'll take an anthology series on this one.
Escape from DC.
And so, Escape from LA, basically, I guess the big earthquake finally happened. In fact, at the very beginning of this movie, you get the big earthquake, and they say, what, it happens in 1998?
Yeah. I guess I missed that because it was 9.6. I think I would have noticed that. I was a kid.
And so it actually breaks off from the state of California, and that ends up becoming a prison, just like the island of Manhattan is in Escape from New York.
Yeah, it's where they deport everybody.
And so we start this movie in a ICE detention center, essentially.
Yeah, 100%.
Where we get Snake coming in, and Snake, very similar to Escape from New York. As we're coming into this ICE detention center, in Escape from New York, you're given the opportunity to be cremated if you don't want to be sent off to the island. In this movie, you're given the option to be electrocuted. And so what ends up happening is that the president's daughter this time around, by the way, president played by Cliff Robertson of Charlie and Spider-Man fame. Love me some Cliff Robertson. So the president's daughter has up and left with a gentleman named Cuervo Jones, which just sounds like a really bad tequila.
It feels racist.
A little bit. And she has stolen some kind of like doomsday device that basically can turn off it's basically a big EMP, I guess.
Yeah.
Basically it can turn off the world. And so Snake Plissken, just similarly to Escape from New York, is basically shoehorned in and say, you're going to go in, you're not going to rescue the president's daughter. He's actually ordered to kill the president's daughter, but for crime and immorality. By the way, Cliff Robertson's president was elected to a lifetime term of office.
Wow. I hope that never happens.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And so we get all the same things that we got from Escape from New York here. This time, however, instead of just agreeing to it and having little bombs placed into his neck as it is in New York, this time Michelle Forbes from Battlestar Galactica scrapes him with a fucking nail or something going in before they even have the conversation. It turns out that he has been infected with a virus and has something like 10 hours to basically go in and
they give him a countdown on his wrist.
And again, they got the whole thing, and then we get a costume change. And a lot of people like the original costume better. Here's my thing. I like Leather Snake a little bit better.
I'm going to clip that out of context, but that's great.
You get very sleek Leather Snake. And not only that, but his dressing up music, his costume change music is just fucking badass.
The music
the
is
score
cool.
in this, music in this is fucking great.
That's Carpenter.
Instead of taking a glider like we do in Escape from New York to the island, this time we take a submarine. And I tell you what, this was kind of one of the biggest differences for me in these two movies was the glider sequence in Escape from New York looks so fucking great. It looks amazing. It looks real. Like you believe that glider is happening. This movie, Escape from LA, has some of the shittiest CGI to have ever been put on screen. It is absolutely fucking terrible.
It's top tier shit.
And so Snake eventually gets, he passes like Universal Studios and like Capitol Records and all this shit. And so lands up and meets up with Peter Fonda. Peter Fonda's in this movie as a surfer. He's like burned from the acid rain and all this shit. And I did read that Wyatt Russell is somewhere in this. Wyatt Russell's somewhere in this movie.
Yeah. You can see him when they're walking him through, like past all those orphans. He's one of the kids.
And so once we do make it to LA, I mean, this movie is almost like a series of vignettes in a lot of ways.
Very much.
And like little kind of like mini stories. And so first thing, instead of meeting up with Cabby, he meets up with Steve Buscemi, who is the map to the stars? Eddie is what he's called. Steve Buscemi coming off of Fargo, I believe was a movie that he did prior to this. You know, one thing, he makes his way through LA. And I've actually only been to LA once whenever I was like 6 or 7 years old. You've been to LA quite a bit, right?
Well, I was just there last year, yeah.
So I tracked Snake's journey through LA, and I was wondering if this geography made any sense whatsoever. So on his way, he passes Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Then I guess he washes up at Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, that's because of the earthquake.
Then he makes his way to Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
Then the Los Angeles. It does, okay. Los Angeles Coliseum after that. Then the Queen Mary, then they hang glide to not Disneyland, but the Happy Kingdom.
Yeah.
But basically Disneyland.
Yeah.
Does that track?
Not the...
Or is that movie geography?
That's movie geography. I mean, I guess if he's moving south-ish, like Anaheim's like an hour and a half from Universal Studios. So, I mean, that's a long glide that he's doing from going from like, it's movie geography.
And so you get the exact same ongoing jokes that they make in the first in Escape from New York. Everyone thinks that Snake, I thought you were dead. In this movie, we think that you were taller. Over and over and over is the running gag. I thought you were taller. Breckin Meyer is actually there is a surfer in there somewhere, but we get Valeria Golina in this movie just for a very short amount of time. And I guess she hasn't done anything in a little while, but man, this, again, we talk a lot about my sexual awakenings in this, but this woman was in Hot Shots Part 2, Big Top Pee-wee, Clean Slate, Four Rooms. Like this is one of the sexiest women ever to walk this earth. Absolutely love Valeria Golina. One of my favorite sequences here is the Bangkok Rules shootout. It's like this really cool, like Western thing. You even get the Western music, and then it's not like a tumbleweed, but like you get like a can or something that blows its way across. And then basically the idea is like, I'm going to throw this can up in the air, and whenever it hits the ground, we draw. And so he throws the can up in the air, and then he just fucking blasts like 7 or 8 people. The can hits the ground, and he just goes, draw.
It's so silly.
It's so fucking great. Another standout sequence here is the home for surgical failures.
That's
That
that's my
includes
favorite.
the Surgeon General, played by Bruce Campbell.
Unrecognizable other than his voice.
And whenever at the 96, when I watched this movie, I had not seen Evil Dead. I didn't know a shit about Bruce Campbell whenever I first saw this movie.
Yeah.
And so it was not until much later that I had an appreciation for what we were doing here.
I only watched Escape from LA when I was a kid because Bruce Campbell was in it, and I was on a big Bruce Campbell
And that's the
kick.
difference in our childhoods.
Yeah. I had read his book, If Chins Could Kill.
You also get, I tell you what, Leland Orser plays like a fucking hacker or some shit in this movie. He's hacking the device or whatever. And that dude must have just come up at the exact, because he looks like a hack.
He does.
Give me a
It's
guy
perfect.
that looks like he works on computers.
Yeah.
Well, we got Leland Orser, and he plays a hacker in like every fucking movie in the 90s, and he does an amazing job at it. I love Leland Orser.
I love in this movie that he's like, anyways, let me say out loud in front of these people that this is the code that you have to punch in when he gives the guy.
Which, by the way, the code is 666.
Yeah.
The sign of the devil.
The number of the beast.
There's a distinct lack of 666 imagery in The Devil Wears Prada as well.
It should, yeah. Well, it's because you have to open up Miranda, her heart, to find it. That's where it is.
Then we get the big set piece at the end. In Escape from New York, he meets up with the Duke of New York, and he ends up having this like big gladiator fight in a boxing rink. Well, here we finally meet up with Cuervo Jones at the LA Coliseum.
That name.
And we did the most, like, this was a choice. This was a I'll tell you what, though. The LA Coliseum in this movie looks fucking amazing. This is like when we would build sets and shit. Today, this would just be all CGI bullshit.
It's all at Universal Studios in their backlot, I think.
Was it really?
It's where most of it was shot, yeah.
Man, I fucking love it. The choice here is Snake has to play basketball.
Yep.
And it's like one of these games that like you might have like made up like your friends as a kid. Like you got to shoot it from this end and then go to the other end, and you got to get 15 points in 2 minutes or some shit.
Yeah.
And eventually, Snake makes this amazing like shot from all the way across the. Which if I remember the HBO behind the scenes documentary that I watched on this like a bajillion times as a child, he actually made that shot from what I understand.
I mean, you give someone enough time, eventually I'm sure they will. That he, one and done, was able to just fucking chunk it and make it on his first attempt.
But yeah, we end up at the Happy Kingdom. Snake not only rescues the device, he actually rescues the daughter as well, who is promptly ordered to death by her father, again, for crime and immorality. But then we get the big switcheroo, which we got in Escape from New York as well. This time, though, I'm sorry, but this movie has just a fucking badass ending. This is a fucking badass ending where basically
it's so good.
Snake puts in the world code and he basically shuts the entire world off. No internet, no nothing. We go back to the Stone Age. And there's such a badass shot of him at the very end with the cigarette, and it's just a long thing, and he blows out the match. So yeah, that is Escape from LA, one of my personal favorites. And I love this, it's hard to call it a series. There's only 2 of these movies. Yeah. This is something I want more of.
It's iconic. I literally just finished Escape from LA before the pod.
How was this? How long had it been? Had you gone 15 years?
Longer, actually. I mean, I'd only seen it once when I was a kid. And I saw this one before I saw Escape from New York because Bruce Campbell, I was just watching
I did too. I saw
Bruce Campbell was in. I don't love the movie. I liked it more this time for sure, but I can't get past some of the stupid shit in the movie.
You know what? They're doing great stupid shit.
Yeah,
I totally agree with you. And Escape from New York is vastly superior.
Yeah,
but man, they're doing some fun stupid shit in this movie.
Yeah, like it's worth if you like the original, it's definitely worth seeking the sequel out. My favorite video game series is Metal Gear Solid, and the main character is Solid Snake, and the codename Snake comes from Snake Plissken, like that's a big influence for Kojima. Those movies. That was another reason why I loved the idea of these movies growing up, and why I think Escape from New York is still one of my favorite Carpenter films. To me, it's just so good. Kurt Russell's a badass. It's good. All right, well, my last pick is maybe the most sacred cow sequel, where you're like, how could they have ever in a million years made a sequel to this movie? This is the 1983, which is kind of crazy. We have picks from 83, 84, and 85.
Do we
I
really?
just realized.
83, the year I was born.
So that was the thing, I guess. Maybe this kicked it off. I don't know. And everyone else was like,
Chris, born the same year as
yeah, as Psycho 2. That is my pick. Psycho 2, directed by Richard Franklin. The tagline was, "It's 22 years later and Norman Bates is coming home." It's actually a really cool tagline. Richard Franklin, the director, got this off of doing Road Games, which is a cool horror movie from the early 80s. He also did I've never seen it, but the Primate movie, the horror movie Link from like 1986. It's like the Missing Link horror movie. No?
I don't know that at all.
Well, we need to watch that together because I've never seen it, and that sounds hilarious. This has Anthony Perkins returning to, I don't know, the most famous role in horror movie franchise history, because everything else, every other horror franchise, it's like a brand. It's like Batman. You have Michael Myers. You have so many actors that have played these parts. But Psycho, it's Norman Bates, Anthony Perkins. That's it. That's all you have. Until they remake it in the late 90s with Vince Vaughn, no one had ever played Norman Bates before. So I can't imagine how insane it was for people to be in the theater in 1982 or whenever the trailer came out, and they're doing a sequel to one of the most famous movies of all time, arguably the most famous horror movie of all time. I think what this movie has going for it is the thing that makes you nervous about it the most is, how could you make a sequel to Psycho? Is it really wrong foots you when you're watching it, because you're like, I love Psycho. There's no way this is going to be any good. I'll watch it. And it brilliantly takes your expectations and weaves it into the story. So it's 22 years later, and Norman Bates, he is declared sane, and he is released from the facility that he's being held
He gets
at.
a Trump pardon is what he gets.
Yeah, exactly. He gets a Trump pardon, which he would get Trump pardon. Even though Lila Loomis, who is the sister of the Mr. Loomis from the first movie, who is killed, she's like in court, like screaming about how you can't let him out and this and that. And so the movie starts right off the bat. Norman Bates is released. The family of some of his victims are upset. You have a cool Robert, is it Loggia? Loggia, right? Robert Loggia.
Robert Loggia is a fucking psychiatrist.
As a psychiatrist, it works really well, but it shouldn't. Like, if you told me that's who we're getting as a psychiatrist.
This is the only movie he could play a psychologist in.
Yeah. Oh, the one where he lets Norman Bates go? Like, hey, that makes more sense. There's no way he's good at his job. So you have Vera Miles reprising her role, and Anthony Perkins reprising his role. So it definitely has like the connection to Psycho that you'd want to see. Norman Bates, the only thing he has is he still owns the hotel, Bates Motel, and it's been managed by the state while he's been put away in this facility. Now that he's out, he gets to go back to his house that his mother left him, and the motel. And so they actually use the original set of the house from Psycho, which is incredible.
Looks great.
It looks great. It still looks great. They've used it most recently. They used a version. I don't know if they used the exact same one or they just rebuilt it, but Maxine has the Psycho house in it as well. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
We saw that together. And then you can still see it on the back lot at Universal Studios. They have a Psycho house. They have it there, which it might be the original. I don't know. Look it up. We'll get our researcher. We'll hire a new researcher.
Yeah, we need to hire a new researcher soon.
Yeah. The now famous horror director, I mentioned Longlegs earlier, Osgood Perkins, who's been on quite the run of, seems like he makes a movie every 8 fucking months. It's very impressive. He is the son in real life of Anthony Perkins. and he's actually in this movie. Maybe his first performance. Yeah, it's a really
that.
cool shot where Norman is looking at the door. I believe it's the door to his mother's room, and in the doorknob, in the reflection, is him as a boy, like a little boy. He's seeing himself, and it's his actual son playing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. This movie, I actually don't want to spoil it. I think in spirit of the original Psycho, which if you've never seen the original Psycho, one of the greatest experiences I've ever had is showing my wife that movie and she'd never seen it, and getting to see in real time someone experience the infamous twist is, I mean, it shows how well it works. And I also think because that movie had such a big twist, I was not expecting there to be really any twists in this movie. I think it was just in my head, I'm like, well, there's probably not going to be another twist. But without going to spoilers, I will say there's some genuine surprises in the story that work so well. The
entire movie was surprising to me.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that
I am
it works
shocked
well.
and shook that this movie is not discussed more.
Yeah, it's a genuinely good horror movie. The pacing is great. Even though it's like an hour and 50, it does not feel like it's that long. You're invested in Norman's story. It does a great job of, it's not a spoiler to say the central conceit is, will Norman stay sane or will he succumb to, who he used to be? And so the movie keeps playing with you in both directions, where it seems like Norman's kind of a sweet guy. And then you're like, I don't know, it seems like he's still kind of fucked up. And it goes back and forth, kind of between he in a relationship with a girl named Mary, played by Meg Tilly, who had never seen Psycho when she was hired for this movie, who hated filming Psycho 2. She did not like Anthony Perkins. She did not like Richard Franklin. She did not show up to the premiere of this movie. Anthony Perkins asked to get her fired from this movie, like halfway in production. And I think that's part of why their chemistry is so great, because there's this uneasiness between their characters that sounds like was real. Between real life, they actually had it. So it's really cool. The whole setup of it, is he really cured? Will he kill again? There's some murders that happen in this movie, and you don't know if
solid kills.
You don't know who is doing it. Like, the movie does a good job of, it doesn't give away anything in the murders while still showing some really gnarly kills. You have a great "fuck you, asshole" performance from Dennis Franz from
one
like
of my favorite parts
NYPD
of this
Blue. Yeah, but he plays the
Die Hard 2.
Yeah, Die Hard 2. He plays the new manager while Norman Bates is gone. He's the most recent new manager of the Bates Motel, and he's turned it into a pump and dump of just drug dealers and people paying by the hour. I don't know where I came up with the term pump and dump, but
that was for the Basic Instinct talk.
That was for Basic Instinct. Sorry, that's just like drugs and sex, and then you leave. But yeah, he's got a real shit heel performance in it that's really good. And Anthony Perkins is just, he's a great actor. I think,
and a sandwich artisan.
And he is the proto incel. He's scared of women, and like you see, like he kind of wants to be romantic, but also sex is bad, but he kind of wants sex, but mother says he shouldn't. And he'd rather just have a good sandwich than sex, is where he kind of ends up. He's like, I
drink
think
some milk with every meal, like any normal person does.
Yeah, he's just he's
after
a big
the
kid.
age of 10.
Yeah, this movie, please seek it out. If you are a fan of Psycho, you have to watch Psycho. If you've never seen Psycho, dear Lord, rectify that. That movie still holds up, and that is from 1960. That is still one of the best horror movies.
I took another viewing of that after I watched
so
this,
fucking good. And there is,
man,
without spoiling, I will say there is a kill in the second movie that, instead of it just being a copy of a kill from the first one, it is a amazing homage to a kill in the first one. That's all I'll say. That I was shocked. I was like, man, that works so fucking well.
This is such because the famous Hitchcockian thing is like, stuff happens off screen, you let your imagination run wild, and this is I think this is a great example of when a movie kind of tonally shifts or kind of moves away from the original vision, and it absolutely fucking works, because your imagination, you don't need your imagination here.
Yeah. No,
like
you don't
at all.
Yeah. And that's kind of the point, is because you you're seeing Norman react to things in real time, as opposed to the first movie where he'll kind of walk away and you're like, what's Norman doing? In this movie, the camera's like, here's what's Norman's doing, and see how shifty he is, or like we'll see his smile, or here he is playing piano and it's fucking beautiful. And that's apparently Anthony Perkins was a classically trained pianist, and that is him playing. It looked like he was really playing, and I looked it up because that's as a musician, that's always interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like, are they faking that? 'Cause I was like, man, that looks like he's actually playing it. And apparently he was a very accomplished pianist. So this movie ends up being successful, actually makes a decent amount of money at the box office, and it creates a horror franchise. A little bit of sequelitis happens in quick succession. We have a Psycho 3 directed by Anthony Perkins, I think 2 years or a year or two right after, and then Psycho 4, which is I believe the last in the franchise, from 1990 maybe, or
Have you
89.
seen either one of those?
No, I just bought. Arrow has a 4K collection of Psycho 2, 3, and 4, and I loved Psycho 2 so much that I was like, I would buy this set just for that movie.
I need to pick that. No, absolutely. I mean, no joke, listeners, like fucking go see this. Watch this movie. It's
Yeah.
fucking great.
I think it's the best out of all of. It might be my favorite rather of all the picks.
It was my most pleasant surprise
Yeah,
out of
at least, yeah.
all of these very dark and strange movies that
Yeah.
we somehow picked.
Yeah. I know.
Again, most of these were blind picks that we had never seen before. Psycho 2 was probably my favorite viewing of this batch.
Yeah, and the king of hot takes, who is not Chris, it's actually Quentin Tarantino. He thinks this is better than the original Psycho, that son of a bitch. And that's such
I
a
won't
it's
even
wrong.
go. I won't know.
It's wrong. It's a classic Tarantino.
It's different.
I'm gonna say what I
and
want.
It is great. Yeah.
But I will say it is, as far as horror sequels to classic or any sequel to classic movies, this is up there. Like this is up there for wow, how did a sequel get so good after so long? 23, 22 years, yeah.
This will be in regular rotation for me now.
It's going to be so fun to show people because it's like, oh man, like if you liked Psycho, well, you have to watch Psycho too. Because that Psycho is already so much fun to show people if they've never seen it. And this is another one that I'm like, this is fun. It's a good movie. Also, a depiction of a cop in a small town where he's not like an absolute dumbass piece of shit. I was surprised that the cop is kind of like, well, let's actually think about things and not rush to judgment. This is the most unrealistic thing in this movie is that the small town sheriff is like, now, Norman might be a good guy. Let's not jump to, I'm like, what? You're in this tiny ass city. What do you mean not jump to conclusions? Like, you never deal with murders. What are you talking about?
Everyone is like very forgiving of
Yeah.
Norman,
Yeah.
except for the
Hey.
two that are like working against
Yeah.
him. But I this is such a strange little thing, but anytime anything happens in this movie, Anthony Perkins does a full-on Home Alone. Like
Yeah.
and it fucking works
It
for some
does.
reason.
Yeah. He's
And
very,
he does it multiple times, and it's such
it's like a child. Like he acts like he is someone that is mentally arrested. It seems
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like Arrested Development. He's still, he's acting like he's being parented from beyond. It's so good. And yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but the last like 5 minutes, I was like, fuck yeah, that is
Yeah.
badass. I was ready. I don't care how bad the third one is. If it ends up being bad or good, whatever, I was ready. I was like, oh, I'll watch another one of these as soon as the second one ended.
I'm
I was like, oh, I'm
going to pick up that set, and I'm probably this October I might do another round of this.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that's all of our picks. Let us know what some of your picks are. You can follow us.
What are your favorite long ass gap sequels?
Movies, please? Don't just tell us your favorite long ass gaps. But yeah, let us know on Letterboxd. You can follow Chris at Beer Yoga Movies on Letterboxd. I'm Clint T. That's 2 T's at the end. We're on Instagram intermittently. We've been on about like these are 2 episodes back after close to a month hiatus. So it's good to be back. Good to be talking weird movies with you again, Chris.
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
excited for next couple of weeks. What is next week's wishes? Is that next week?
I believe next week we are going to do movies that have wishes in them, and there are some fun
Yeah.
ones already that we have picked for that. Yeah, the next 2 weeks are going to be really fun.
Yeah, they're gonna be fun. So be sure to like, subscribe, listen, watch, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And only if mother says it's okay.
Yeah. Never stop talking.
As it says in the in the Constitution.